Let me add myself to this here fancy video. Captain Matt, Boat Buyer's Secret Weapon, here for another live. Got my actual camera going, so I think we're good there. Maybe a little bit of an adjustment. Let's see here if we can get that matched up. And I think we are good to go. If you've not been on a live before, here's the format. In the chat, go ahead and ask me any questions that you would like. If you're buying a boat, if you are selling a boat, if you're new to boating, if you've been a boater for a while, you got a question, just throw it in the chat. I will give you my best answer. If I don't have an answer for you, I'll direct you to somebody or a resource that I may know about. If I don't have an answer, I'll let you know. Hey, that's out of my expertise. If you ask me something about sailing, or if you ask me about a style of boat I've never heard of, I'll just let you know. I don't know everything, but I will happily share my insights, my experience, anything that might be helpful for you to make sure that you have the best boating experience possible, that you buy the right boat, that you don't overpay for it, and that when you get out of the water, you're safe and you have a good time and you live the dream that you have envisioned before you bought your boat. That's what I'm all about. If you're joining, just drop a note in the comment where you're dialing in from, where you're watching from, and what kind of boat you got. Let us know that, and go ahead and fire away at any questions that you may have. And as we get started here, the topics for today, let's talk winterization. I've got some videos on winterization that are out there in the world. And I'll just pull up my channel here real quick. So when it comes to winterization, there's a couple of things that are important to know. Holy crap, we're coming up on 800 videos on the channel. I had no idea. We're nearing 70,000 subscribers, which is pretty awesome. I appreciate if you're not subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. You'll be notified when I do these lives, which if you got questions, can certainly help you out there. Let's see here. Well, I thought if I typed winter, that would pull up my winterization videos. There we go. The stern drive winterization video, it's 5 years old, but it's still relevant. There's an outboard version as well somewhere that you can see a couple different ones. It's October 22nd. I haven't even winterized my boat yet. I'm hoping to get a few more runs in before the real freezing weather shows up here. But when you're looking at winterizing your boat, couple mistakes that people make, especially if you have somebody else do it, is if you're just looking for who's got the lowest price, you're setting yourself up to leave your boat in maybe a susceptible position. If you ask for a winterization could be as simple as undoing the drain plugs and draining the water out. Technically, your boat's winterized. Your boat's ready to not be damaged by freezing weather, okay? Now, in my mind, that's the bare minimum. That's the, holy shit, it's going to freeze tonight. I got to get the boat winterized so it doesn't cause damage. That is not, I'm going to put my boat away for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 months, whatever it is in your area. That is, yeah, you got to get that water out, but I'm also going to encourage you to do a bunch of other things. Okay. Start with getting the water out, but putting antifreeze. You can see the pink stuff in the video right here, putting an antifreeze in the system that's got some anti-corrosive properties. So when you go to West Marine or you go online to buy your pink juice, your winterization fluid, there's the kind that's for the fresh water system. It's just not going to freeze. Okay. It's like $5 a bottle. For 10, 12 bucks a bottle, you can get the pink stuff that has anti-rust inhibitors. It's got some protective chemicals. I don't know what the hell they are, but stuff in it that's going to keep the inside of your engine better protected from just sitting there. Raw metal that's been wet what's going to happen to it? Yeah, it's going to rust, right? It's going to rust. It's going to get corrosion. It's going to get damage. It may even, depending on how severe it is, it may seize up, and those internal components aren't going to move as smoothly as they typically would. So my recommendation is get the more expensive pink stuff. Don't be cheap. You're going to use 5 bottles, 6 bottles for an extra $50. You're going to protect your $3,000, $5,000, $10,000 engine. I'm talking inboards, stern drives here. Use the more expensive stuff. Okay. Don't be cheap in the short term. It's going to be expensive in the long term. So that's number one. You can do that yourself. It's easy enough to do. You get some ear muffs, you get a little jug. I've got a video where I show you where I'm doing mine. Last year, I think is when I showed it. But anyway, if you search on the channel, it's out there. But anyway, so that's step number one. Now we're protected from freezing, but we're also protected from corrosion. Next is the gas. Gas, there's a couple things that you need to know about gas. One is it's seasonal. So they have a warm weather mixture, cool weather mixture, and a cold weather mixture. Okay. So throughout the season, depending on where you are in the country, your gas is going to switch out at the local gas station, maybe at the marina, depending on how quickly they turn their fuel. But you're going to want to get the fuel all the way filled up to the top, and then you're going to want to treat it. Okay. For me, I like to leave mine full. When I say full, I'm talking 90, 92, 95%. I don't want to get to 100%, especially if I fill it on a cool time. And then we have a 70-degree day. I'm in the South, so we might have a 70-degree day in December. Well, what's going to happen if I fill it at 50, it goes to 70, that fuel is going to expand. It's probably going to spill all over the place, okay? But I don't want to leave it where there's a bunch of room for air. That's going to make the fuel go bad quicker. It's going to cause condensation potentially with the change in the temperatures. You know, just like when you go outside in the morning, there's dew all over the grass. Well, same thing can happen in your fuel tank. Is that change in temperature can create condensation. Water in the fuel is bad, especially to sit then for a long time with water in the fuel. If you don't like the idea, if you're like, yeah, but I don't want summer gas to sit all season and then have it in the fall, or I don't want to put winter gas in and then run in the summer whenever you bring your boat out, you can leave it empty. Okay. Now, if you leave it empty, you'll have less bad gas to worry about or less off-season gas to worry about, but you've got a bigger problem with condensation. So pick your poison. For me, I've got my my VHF ticket, or I had my VHF ticket to fly single engine prop planes, visual flight rules, VHF, VFR. I always get those mixed up, but my VFR ticket. And in airplanes, they always leave the tank full, so they fill up at the end of the flight, so that there's no condensation. Because if your engine stalls up in the air, well, you're in a pretty bad situation, right? That's what a lot of the training is about, is how to handle if your engine stalls in the middle of the air. You do stall drills, you do all these drills just in case that happens, but you also want to do everything in your power to avoid it. And so in the airline world, always fill it up. Well, I'm like, hey, if you're in the middle of the sky and can fall out of the sky, they say fill it up. I'm going to fill it up all the time. That's why I lean that direction. There's a lot of experienced people in the boating world that say you're okay to leave it empty. But I would say the majority are going to go with full as well in our space. So I'm going to say fill up the gas or leave it as close to empty as possible. Herb, how you doing? Good to have you join us. Herb's been a long time follower. Great to see you back live. What are your thoughts on the use of bilge heaters in moderate climates, Florida? Yeah, 100%. The extreme heaters, make sure Herb, and I know you will, Herb's got a nice formula down in, I think, Florida. I think that's where he is. It's been a while, but the extreme heaters, XTREME, I think is how they spell it, something that's a marine grade heater, which means all of the coils are internal, so you're less likely to have, if fumes do get out, if there springs a leak somewhere, that there's nothing that's going to have a super hot ignition point in those heaters. They keep the heat just at, like 40 degrees or something like that. The one thing to be careful with, Herb, is just be aware that if power goes out, you happen to get a freak ice storm, or a storm comes through, knocks the power out, and then you freeze, your heater's not operational, okay? But for me, as long as you're not 6 hours away from the boat, as long as you have reasonable access to it, and I think your formula is on the newer side, you can easily get down there and drain it, okay? You might even have if you have a Volvo in it, you might even have a heat exchange that's real easy to drain. But I'm a big believer in those to extend your life of the season, so you can go out in November. You've got the protection from the freezing, but you can also disconnect from the power source, hop in the boat and run for the Christmas light parade, come back in, plug it back in, and you're good. You don't have to keep draining that heat exchange or the manifolds, whatever, or the block, whatever type of system you have. So, but just remember, keep in the back of your mind, if the storms come through, if power goes out, I've got to address that if the temperatures are getting close to freezing. The other thing you can do, Herb, is, and we can do this in the Carolinas, I'm in Charlotte. If you ever get in a situation where, like, shit, the power's out, if you can, depending on how your boat's on a lift, if you can drop it into the water, that water will act as insulation, and it will, except in extreme situations, it's just enough insulation that it's going to keep the hull of the boat from getting down to that freezing temperature. It's going to keep the drive from getting to that freezing temperature, which then means that the engine block is likely to stay away from those freezing temperatures as well, and freeze solid. If you freeze at 32 degrees, it's going to get hard. But when you get down to 28, 27 degrees, that's when that expansion starts, and that's when that can be a problem. So by dropping it in the water, you get just enough insulation in a moderate climate like that, where it's going to get maybe 25. It's going to drop down to 25. If I put it in the water is not freezing, I'm going to be good to go. You can also, last year I was really delayed in getting it winterized, and we were traveling one weekend. I didn't have time. I didn't winterize it till it was like the week before Thanksgiving. We were leaving for Thanksgiving, but in October it got cold, so I just got some old comforters from Goodwill, and I just tucked them around the engine. It wasn't going to get to 10 degrees, but it was going to get to like 25, 28. And I was like, all right, I'll just put those over it. And that should give me just enough insulation and protection to get me through so I can get it fully winterized. Drain the manifolds with the bicycle pump after, northern Florida. So you're even a little bit warmer than I am. So you'll be in good shape. And it's smart to get that water out just in case. Just in case is always a good thing in boating, because it's often going to be an issue. So great to have you. Great to have you with us, Herb. So, all right. So that's fuel, full or empty, not 50%. Okay. All right. I'm getting up to, all right, I'm on 2 now. This is a work in progress for me. But we're 3 days in a row. So, all right. So we talked about freezing, and feel free, if you've got a question that you want to talk about, doesn't have to be around winterization, just throw it in the chat and I'll answer that as well. But fuel, treat it. Okay. So it's going to sit for a long time. One of the worst things for fuel is for it to go stale. It kind of has a shelf life, a freshness life, if you will. And also that condensation of getting water, especially if you have ethanol in your fuel that's hygroscopic, which means it sucks in water. If there's any moisture anywhere, the gas wants to suck it into itself. It's actually the ethanol portion of the gas wants to suck it in. So what you want to do is you want to treat it with Marine. This is my recommendation. Marine 360 treatment. The stable Marine 360 Marine is from the technicians that I've talked to. Now, if you've listened to me talk, I've been talking about some mechanical stuff here with winterization just because I've been around it enough. I am not a mechanic, but I know enough. And I always ask, what's the best? What's the best this? What's the best that? This stable 360 Marine is the best stabilizer, in my opinion, to put in for winterization. To treat your fuel to sit for 3, 6, whatever, however many months it's going to sit. It's what I use in winterization. I also, my boat's older. Yama treatment. I also use this every time I fill up. Now I've got the $10,000 boating adventure boat that we've been running. It's an 04. It's just about ready to turn 700 hours on the Volvo stern drive. And so I put in, every time we fill up, I put in this Yamaha ring free, which is just, it's not a stabilizer, but it's an additive for older engines. It's an additive that's going to keep your seals fresher. It's going to keep there's like some rust inhibitors in there as well. I don't know what it is, but every tech that I've talked to that I respect says, yeah, it's one of the best things you can do for an engine for longevity. It doesn't have to be a Yamaha. Like I said, I'm putting in a 04 Volvo 5.0 and I don't know. It's cheap insurance in my mind. I don't know where I got it, but I bought a case of it. I wish we sold it at my store at Boater Secret Weapon, but my distributor doesn't have it. But I just went and bought a case for like $150 bucks, whatever it was. I don't even know. But every time I fill up, I add in the Yamalube. It just gives you that peace of mind, especially if you have an older boat. But for winterization purposes, 360 Marine by Stable, mix it so many ounces to gallons, and you just dump it in. You want to slosh it around so it gets good and mixed up. And you want to then run the boat, because you want that to get all the way through the fuel system, through the hoses, in through the fuel injectors or the carburetor, whatever you got, all the way through that system, so that it's that treated fuel that's everywhere through the system. Because if you can imagine, if you just dump it in, one, it's not mixed up very good. Two, it hasn't got from the fuel tank all the way through those fuel lines where it's small amounts of fuel that's going to go bad quicker, all the way through the carburetor. It's going to sit in there gummed up. It's not treated. The fuel injectors, it can get gummed up, not treated. But if you run that boat for 10, 15 minutes, now it's gotten around. It's best if you can put it in, then take the boat out in the water. The boat's sloshing around, the fuel's sloshing around. It's running through the fuel system. It's running through the injector, the carburetor, whatever, the filters. And that's the best case scenario. If you don't have that, what I do, if I'm not putting the boat in the water, is I put it in. I kind of back the boat back and forth on the trailer, slosh it around a little bit. And then I do on a stern drive, I do my winterization process, which if it's cold, I think last year I ran it for 20, 30 minutes until that water started feeling hot coming out and I knew the thermostat opened. And then you run the pink stuff through. Okay. So, hey, Justin, how you doing? Las Vegas. You guys are probably still boating out there. I imagine the weather is decent if you've got water. I've heard that some of the lakes out that way are missing some water, a little bit low. But anyway, thanks for joining us. I appreciate it. If you got a question, just throw it in the comment. So that's fuel. Okay. Next, the battery. I'm going to recommend that you disconnect the battery. You put the battery on some kind of a solar charger. I've got a solar trickle charger that I use. My boat sits in a trailer in a parking lot, like 10 minutes from the lake. And so I just plug mine in to the solar panel trickle charger during the summer. But in the winter, I'm actually going to disconnect that battery. I'm going to take it out. I'm going to put it on my wooden shelf at the house in the garage here, where it's going to be out of the cold, a little bit more protected, up off the concrete. The concrete, if it's cold, will just sap that energy out of it. I don't know why. Some kind of, I don't know. I assume physics, some kind of science stuff. But anyway, not good for it. So put it on some type of wood, put it on a shelf where it's going to stay. And if you have the capacity, put it on a trickle charger in the garage, something that is either a smart charger or you're going to be able to monitor so you don't overcharge it. Most chargers nowadays have some sort of fail-safe where it's going to kick off if the battery starts to get overcharged, and that's a bad thing. It'll basically cook the battery, get too hot, burn all the water out, and kind of explode. But you don't want that battery acid exploding. So that's the battery portion. Okay, take it out, put it in a dry, warmer location off the concrete, and put it on the trickle charger. Next is clean that sucker. Clean that sucker good. Here's the thing. Here's the thing with putting your boat away for a long period of time. I grew up in Nebraska, and even in Nebraska, there would be warm days in the wintertime, right? We put our boat away. We put our boat away in September, mid to early September. After Labor Day, it started getting cold. You maybe got one or two more runs in, but that was it. And then we didn't take it out until Memorial Day. And we didn't usually go out on Memorial Day because it was too crazy. So you're talking from September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, 8 months, May, 9 months, boat sat for 9 months. In some of those days, there's going to be a 60, 70 degree day, even in the Midwest. And if there's any dirt or moisture, mold is that's their haven, right? What does mold need and mildew need to grow? It needs a food source, dirt, Cheeto dust, pollen. It doesn't really matter. Anything somewhat organic, moisture, which your boat has a lot of, even when you get it as dry as you think you can. There's still moisture hiding in a nook or cranny somewhere. And then it likes dark. Well, imagine your boat with the cover on, a little bit of moisture, a little bit of dirt, definitely dark. And then you add heat to there in a 60, 70 degree day, and mold's like, let's do it. And it will proliferate very, very quickly. So what do you do to avoid that? One is you clean the shit out of the boat. That means cracks, crevices, ski lockers. Take all your gear out. Take everything out of the glove box. Everything goes out of that boat. You wipe it all down. You clean it all up. You protect those seats with some kind of protector. I like let's see here. What do I like? And we sell this at my store. Matter of fact, we sold some the other day. I don't know why we got this Memorial Day thing in there. Xanago. Shout out to the Xanago guys. I use their mold and mildew protector and their waterless wash. Okay. So I like that for my end of year cleaning. That mold and mildew protector, it's got an inhibitor to keep it away. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to clean that boat, wipe off every surface, get it as dry as I possibly can. And I'm going to spray that mold and mildew inhibitor on it. And that's going to be helpful. It's been science. You don't need, if you got a bigger boat, if you like to do the easy way, this atomizer is awesome. You just dump it in there and it's like an air gun, just sprays out. I've got one. They gave it to me. But I just use the bottle. I just squirt it. And not only do I squirt it on the upholstery, I squirt it in the ski lockers, I squirt it under all the seats. I squirt that stuff everywhere that is likely to be damp, is dark, and is potential for mold. For $50, I think, I don't know, I maybe used a third of a bottle last year when I did it. So it's going to last you a couple of seasons. I've got a 21-foot boat, so it's going to last you at least 2 seasons on most normal boats. And that's going to be the mold and mildew. All right, Justin says, wife and I are looking to buy a 21 Chaparral. 23, still new. I might need to get my glasses to do these. Still new, on the lot. Any tips, questions should be asked, but why it hasn't sold. Dealers in Reno, 400 miles north. Okay, Justin, not surprising that boat hasn't sold. Stern drive bow riders are down more than most others in the country. Your area in the Midwest and the mountain regions are 2 of the slowest regions for turn times for dealers. I've got the graph from InfoLink. Is InfoLink somebody? They send out industry information. Not shocking that boat hasn't sold. That boat is becoming a thorn in the side of that dealer. So what I would do is find out what MSRP is. If it's a 21, it's comparable. It's probably a 21 SSI, I would imagine. Find out what the MSRP is, what they're asking, and go ahead and make just an aggressive offer. If you're paying cash, tell them, hey, I'd be willing to finance if that helps me get a little bit better deal. Finance it for 90 days, pay it off. They make a couple thousand on the back end. You get a couple thousand of discount, and you can pay it off, and you only have to pay a couple $100 of interest. So what you want to ask, how many hours are on this boat? If you haven't seen it, a boat that's been sitting around for 3 years, even if it has 0 hours on it, unfortunately, it probably has some defect. Defect's not the right word. It's got a nick. It's got a ding. It's got a scuff. It's got a missing piece of canvas. It's got something that in the 3-year period of time, going from boat show to back to the dealership to demo to put away for the winter, shoved in this direction, shoved in that direction, shuffled around the showroom, put in their other stores building, taken to this on water, done this demo, done this boat show for 3 years, there's probably going to be a nick or something. It's part of the reason you're going to get a smoking deal on it. And you're also going to get full warranty. Warranty will kick off the day that you get it registered to you. So it's a great opportunity. Just ask how many hours on it. Send me some pictures of the nicks, the dings that, I know the boat's 3 years old. I'm sure that something's happened to it. I just want to know it before I drive 400 miles to check it out in person. I definitely want to run the boat, make sure that nothing really stupid happened. If you're buying it from a Chaparral dealer, I don't know who the Chaparral dealer is in Reno. Probably find out pretty quick. Reno, Nevada. Michael's Reno Power Sports. Well, this might be it right there. Nobody else go look at this boat. Okay, so retail, they've got it discounted $10,000, which is just over 10%. I would say that's probably that $75,000. Let's see if that's with the trailer. If that's it, I don't know if that's it. You didn't mention surf, but it's got the reverse drive. I would say that's probably pretty close to their cost, knowing that these 21s have a lower margin to MSRP. So the MSRP isn't jacked up to 35% like they do on the the 280, their 28 foot whatever SSX. But $10,000, I need to do a little bit of research, but I would maybe go in and say, hey, listen, be happy to finance with you guys if the rate's competitive. You can check out my boatloanmatch.com. Okay, cool. So you've got pictures, you've been in contact with them, so you know there's really no weird stuff. I would just ask them, hey, you know, how many hours are on it? And that's really it. There's nothing else I'm concerned about. Are all the pieces there? Is there any filler cushions or canvas that's missing? You know, sometimes the Bimini boot or a filler cushion somewhere gets misplaced. The owner's manual, who knows? But I'm not too worried about. There's not that much stuff on this boat that can get misplaced. And then I would make my offer. I would say, listen, contingent on a sea trial, contingent on you storing it until I'm ready to get it. Know that you've got service on that. Probably, I don't know what they put on it there. No, they don't say what they've got. Make sure that you've got a Volvo dealer near you, or a technician. Doesn't have to be a dealer, but a technician that can work on the Volvo in your area. I would imagine in the Vegas area, you'll find one pretty easily. Got a lot of stern drives there. And I would say, listen, I'll give you 70 just without doing any research at all. 65 is going to be too aggressive. 250 stern drive. It's got a Merc. Perfect. You definitely got a Merc dealer out there. 65 feels like, are you serious about buying this, Justin, or not? But you can start there and just see where the conversation goes. If you hear something like, listen, we're already selling this at cost, we're already losing money, say that's fine. You know, I'm looking at some other used boats and find a 21 foot Chaparral for sale near Las Vegas. You know, hey, listen, there's this, and I know that's not a surf, but there's this 2017 that's for $25,000 that we kind of like. There's this 21 H2O that's 40 that we like. You guys are at 60 or 75. You know, my wife tells me I'd really like to be at 65, and just, you know, like that's where we need to be. I can finance with you guys if that's helpful. Just see what they have to say. There's no way they're going to accept it, but it gets the conversation started. And now you've started way low. They started at 75, where, you know, obviously if they're putting on the internet, that's a number that they'll say yes to instantly. There's somewhere between 75 and probably 70 where they would say yes. 10% down, financing the rest. So yeah, that's gonna allow them to make some money. Give yourself a double check. Go to boatloanmatch.com and you know, just make sure if my lender that you get matched with has a better deal, definitely go with them. But I would think if you could buy this boat for 71, 72, that's a really, really good deal, just without digging too much. But yeah, that's a perfect opportunity, Justin, for you guys to get pretty much a brand new boat and full warranty. Ask them if they'll throw in the 5 years of Mercury coverage if they're not. So Mercruiser's got 2 years of warranty. For pretty inexpensive on the dealer's end, they can extend that out to 5 years and give that to you. It's only going to cost them a couple $100 probably, but it's extra protection for you. If you keep the boat, you've got the lack of risk. If you sell the boat, you've got it's okay. So it's not the surf model, which is good. We'll keep your specific boat undercover. But so if it's the similar percentages of discount, you saw I went down a little bit less than about another 10%. Another 10% off of what they're advertising on a boat like this, but with already a 12, 13% discount. This MSRP margin is probably at 20, maybe 22. I don't know for sure on the Chaparral, but there's definitely a little bit of room in there. If you ask for the warranty, if it's your first boat, ask for some gear. They've got bigger margins on their equipment, and just start the conversation. I think you'll be surprised at the deal you can get. So, but also don't forget to demo. Don't forget to do the sea trial, just in case. I'm not too concerned about it, but just in case, I always want to run the boat, and you don't have to worry about the weather there. It's going to be warm enough. The water's not going to be frozen over this time of year, probably ever. You're going to be good. So hopefully that's helpful for you, Justin. On that, I would love if you do pull the trigger, if it works out, if you wouldn't mind sending me a picture, you guys on your boat, tell me how it all shook out. It's one of the ways I keep an eye on what the market's doing, is from people just like you that I help out. Like, hey, got this type of discount, this type of incentives. And that helps me educate the next group of people that come in and keep my pulse on what's happening in the market. So appreciate that. Hopefully you found that valuable. All right. So let's go back. If you got questions, throw it in the chat. Oh, that's not what we want. Throw it in the chat. And I'm going to keep going with the winterization topic. So we talked pink stuff. We talked fuel. We were talking clean. You're welcome, Justin. Glad to be helpful. And that I've got a subscriber that bought basically that same boat. I think it was a 2019 down in Louisiana, and he's loving it. A good solid boat. Good solid boat. So, and all right, clean. So clean it real good. I like to wash the outside. I may or may not, depending on this year, I'm gonna buff and wax and protect my boat before I put it away. But that's because I only did it once this season. I did it early in the season, and it sits outside. It's got some sun beating on it, and so I want to get another layer of protection on it from that UV damage. And so I'm gonna do the full cut, compound, polish, protect that 3-step process, and protect it. You don't have to, especially if you put the boat away inside, you put it away covered, some way or another, the sun's not damaging it. You can do it to start the season fresh. That's a minor one way or another. It doesn't really matter. But if you are going to put it outside, it's going to be getting direct sunlight. It's not as harsh in most parts of the country. My dogs are going crazy barking at somebody, but it is something to consider. And then this is the other thing that I do is dry. What do they call it now? Bucket for boats. There we go. Damp rid. Damp rid is what it's called. Some sort of moisture attractor. So this you can get at Lowe's. You can get at West Marine. It's going to probably be a little more expensive, but essentially it's just anything that's going to trap moisture. I put 2 of the big gallon buckets in my boat, 21-foot boat. Probably overkill, but it's inexpensive. These are the small ones. That's 11 ounce. I do the big. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. The 44 ounce bucket is $6, so you can do the big one, put a couple in, and that's going to, if there is moisture in that boat, it's going to get trapped by the damp rid instead of getting trapped by your cushions, by the foam in the cushion, by something in there that's going to be like, oh, perfect. We needed some moisture to grow some mold and mildew. And so it's just put one in the bow, put one in the ski locker, and put one in the transom or the engine compartment, depending on how big your boat is. Cheap insurance, mold and mildew, once it gets started, it's impossible. Unless you kill it with bleach, which now you're damaging your cushions, it's going to be better to avoid because it's going to be real expensive to fix down the line. Okay. So what about if you got an outboard? That's stern drive stuff. Everything applies except for the pink stuff. Outboard, tilt that motor down, let all the water drain. Now for me, I'm going to tilt it down, back up, back down. I'm going to do that a couple of times just to make sure that everything is out of that outboard. And then on both, I'm going to do one of two things. I'm going to check the gear lube to guarantee that there's no water in there. The seal started to go bad. You got some fishing line behind the prop and it cut the seal. Something weird happened and I've got water in my gear lube. I don't want that water in there to get cold and freeze, expand, and crack my gear case, right? What will happen is maybe just a little hairline crack that you don't even notice till you start to use the boat. It heats up. Now that crack's a little bit bigger, cools down, heats up, cools down, and now you tap a little stick in the water, and now that hairline crack, turns into a big crack. Okay, so it can be as simple as taking a big giant screwdriver, cracking that nut on the bullet. It's usually on the leading edge of the bullet on a stern drive, or for some of them on the outboards, they're behind the prop. I think Yamaha does that. So wherever your drain is for your gear lube, go ahead and crack it. Water is going to be the first thing that comes out. No water, you can tighten it up and be good if you're not going to change it. Or you can do your full service right then and there. Change your gear lube, change your oil, which if you're going to change it, you got a carbureted engine and you got to fog it, then change your oil at the beginning of the season, because you're gonna put that fogging oil in there. It's going to get everything all dirty anyway. If you got a fuel injector that you don't have to do that fogging stage, you can change that oil at the end of the season so you don't have dirty oil sitting in the engine stale throughout the 5, 6, 7, 8 months of winter. So it kind of depends. Carburetor, I'm going to do it a little bit different because, well, I'd rather have some dirty oil sitting in there in the off season when it's not running than run dirty oil from the get-go because I fogged that engine the first time I crank it up. That's all going to get back into the system, is the way it's been explained to me. And then big stuff, fuel, clean, dry, service, and then impeller. If you need to do the impeller while you're doing all the oil change, gear lube change, doing the impeller as well, go ahead and knock that all out at once, either end of the season, if it's a fuel injected, beginning of the next season, if it is a carbureted, but always check to make sure there's no water in the gear lube. And then while you're at it, just take the grease gun out, shoot the grease Zerk fittings, steering cable, lower unit, anywhere that there's a Zerk, which is just a little nipple that you stick a grease gun on, give it a shot or two of grease. And don't forget the trailer, do the same thing on your bearing buddies, shoot those hubs, get them good and going, and then tuck that baby away for the season. If you've got a trailer, I block up my tires so they're protected. Block up's not the right word. I put some cover over the wheels so those wheels aren't getting hit by the UV rays while it's just sitting. I don't jack mine up and take the weight off the tires because I put mine away in November and I'm going to probably run mine in January. And when I say November, like I said, last year it was Thanksgiving. So my boat doesn't sit for more than a couple of months. And there's a chance, because of the videos I shoot, there's a chance I'm going to hook up to it, tow it somewhere to shoot a video on location. So it's not like it's just sitting in the same spot, getting flat spots on the tires for, 6 months out of the year. If it is, that it's an extra precaution. You'll get a little bit more time out of your tires, but definitely protect them from the UV and the sun. So that's my thoughts on winterization. We are, let's see, how long are we in this? 45 minutes. So I've got 3 boxes on my chart, catching up to my youngest daughter, who has 10. I'm going to be at 5, 6, 7. So I'm only 3 behind her. If you don't know, this walking, I put on a little extra weight, so trying to get back in better health. And we got a competition. Whoever walks the most 15-minute blocks, they win a pot of money that we're putting on. So far, my youngest is really jumping on it. And I'm doing these lives to give myself a very consistent, all right, I'm committed to do the live. I might as well walk while I'm doing it. And hopefully I get better with running the mouse and talking and walking and doing all that stuff. So I appreciate y'all joining us. If you are new, if you're watching this replay, go ahead and hit that bell and hit the notification button. That way, follow and bell, I think is the right way to do it. But that way you get notified when I go live. It's going to be probably 2 o'clock Eastern weekdays is when I'm doing it. It may shift to 3 o'clock depending on what I've got going on, picking up my daughters and stuff. But this should be pretty consistent. And we'll see you all tomorrow. Thanks for joining. Remember, this is brought to you by Captain Matt's Boat Loan Match Program. If you are financing a portion of your boat, we have got a group of lenders that will match you with the best one based on your situation, location, boat type, credit profile, a number of different down payment, loan amount. That way, here, this is going to have the best rates for what you're looking for. They're also vetted on customer service to help you make sure you buy the right boat. I'm going to give you free access to my Boat Buyers Academy and my Magic Money Saving Method program to make sure you don't overpay. And you get great value out of it. We've got a good loan for you. I'd appreciate it if you took advantage of the loan offering. It's one of the ways that we fund what we're doing here that allows me to provide all this information for free and still make a living providing useful content for the people that need the help, want the help. Thanks a lot. We'll catch you tomorrow.